Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm going to be doing my best to tell you guys how much money you're going to need for one of the upcoming Grand Theft Auto Online DLCs, what we think is going to be Felony and Finance, or Finance and Felony, and then I'm also going to be talking about what I believe are going to be the vehicle categories for the Cunning Stunt Races DLC. Now, the conclusions that I'm gathering today and what I'm going to be presenting to you guys is coming from previous Grand Theft Auto Online DLCs, how I know Rockstar typically like to price things, and the information that's known so far from the two pictures that have been shown and the newswire they've kind of touched on as well, where they released about a paragraph for each DLC that's going to be coming out. However, let's start with the Finance and Felony update. There's a few, I guess, prerequisites that I can kind of already see in order to do this. So the first big prerequisite I know you're going to need and has been shown in the first screenshot is going to be a new property. And these new properties will both serve as the headquarters and the warehouse for your organization. And the screenshot shows off, I'm guessing, the headquarters part, which looks to be in some sort of business high-rise. Thanks to that perfectly placed computer, we can't really tell where this is. But I want to say, in order to start doing the stealing and dealing part of this update, you're going to need a headquarters. And the only thing we can really base off in terms of determining the prices, in my opinion, would be the high-end apartments, which range anywhere from $1.1 million to somewhere around $300,000. Now, if I had to take a guess, because this is Rockstar and because this is a new DLC, I would imagine it falling somewhere in the middle, especially if you only use this property for these VIP raids and organization drug trafficking, contraband, heist, or whatnot. So I'm going to say they're going to be close to $600,000, maybe $700,000. Who knows? They might be closer to the low end, $200,000, $300,000. They might be closer to the high end, $1 million, $1.1 million. However, because they are dual purpose, like I mentioned, their headquarters and the warehouse for your drugs and contraband, I can see Rockstar maybe putting a premium on this, just like they did in order to become a VIP. You need at least $1 million in your bank account before you can become a VIP, and I would imagine this is going to be very similar. It's kind of like a prerequisite in order to weed out those who don't really have the money to start an organization. So that's part one. Part number two, and I've stated this in previous videos, I believe you're not just going to be able to waltz into this update, say, let's sell these drugs, we'll sell them to that person, and we'll make money. I think there's going to be more of an upfront cost, very similar to heist missions in the way that you have to pay up front and then you get a payout that you split with your team. So to keep it very simple for you guys, I'm going to tell you the cost and the normal payout for all 5 heists. So for the Fleeca job, it was $11,500 and your payout was $115,000. For the prison break, the cost for the leader was $40,000 and the normal payout $400,000. For the Humane Labs raid, it was $54,000 for the cost, $540,000 for the normal payout. Series A funding, it was $40,000 to fund it, and the payout was $404,000. And for the Pacific Standard job, it was $100,000 to set it up, and the normal payout was $1 million. So basically, to do some quick math, essentially it would cost you 10% of what you would be getting during a normal payout. The easiest one of those maths is the last one, Pacific Standard job. You earned $1 million, but to start it, it cost you $100,000. So I think that the exact same principle is going to be applied for this stealing and dealing sort of DLC. In that when you go to do a drug trafficking raid or you go to sell some, jewelry or stolen medical supplies, there's going to be an upfront cost of what you expect to get. And maybe that upfront cost is determined by how valuable the goods are, ultimately the amount and the size of the cargo you're going to be shipping. Again, we don't know a whole lot of details. This is just stuff that we can gather from 1 or 2 paragraphs that they wrote. And maybe it also has to do with the suppliers that you interact with. Maybe some suppliers will demand a higher cut or a higher fee. Maybe some will request a lower fee that doesn't require a whole lot of your money. But I do think you're not just going to be able to get out scotch-free where you take 100% of the profit for yourself. I'm imagining you're going to have to split that fee maybe with your bodyguards, with the organization itself, and certainly maybe with the supplier, just to kind of balance things out. I know Rockstar want this to be a cool way to make money in online, but they've got to put those checks and balances in there like they pretty much do with everything else in the game that might limit our earnings potential. And there might even be fees that go along with being the VIP in a corporation. The last thing they say is keep your stock in mint condition to maintain value and sell it at a profit. So I'm guessing you might have to pay for organization defenses because they go on to say watch for raids on your warehouse between shipments. So that honestly wouldn't surprise me if there was a pseudo-style mechanic fee, maybe for defenses, very similar how you pay your yacht captain or how you would pay your mechanic. So who knows? Once Rockstar puts out more information on this, we'll get a little bit of a better idea. But in my opinion, there is going to be an upfront cost associated with this DLC. All right, so let's switch gears a little bit, no pun intended, and talk about the Cunning Stunts DLC. A lot of people have been talking about what sort of cars are we going to be getting, how is it ultimately going to work, and a few more details. So let's look at the original screenshot. We can see there are 4 supercars in this image. We know one of them is at least a T20. I think one of them is an Osiris or a Turismo. I've seen some people say that those are all T20s. So we know for a fact that in these stunt races, supercars are going to be vehicles that we can choose from. And I personally believe that the stunt races may only be open to a select few classes of vehicles in Grand Theft Auto Online, because it doesn't make sense to be doing stunt races with a bunch of, whether it be like Priuses or compacts, or it just doesn't make sense. You want these stunt races to be fast and furious. And that's why I think the stunt races are going to include motorcycles, they're going to include off-road, sports cars, and supercars. I think primarily they're going to be those 4 categories. Now, I could be wrong, and Rockstar could open all the categories up just like they do with the other races, but I would imagine with the crazy terrain that some of these jumps and stunts might only be accomplishable by certain types of racing classes. Now, one thing that'll be very interesting to see and hear from Rockstar is these new stunt-ready vehicles that they're going to be talking about. The community's kind of confused on this. Does it mean that Rockstar is going to designate a few vehicles to make them stunt-ready, kind of like what I talked about? Or are they going to be adding new vehicles into the game that can go along with existing sports cars and supercars? That's kind of what I think they're going to do. But, you know, they've been very broad on their newswire about what they've wanted to talk about, and they haven't really given out a whole lot of details. Now, I was kind of doing some thinking about what new vehicles could possibly be added, and I started thinking about to some older GTAs. So, for example, maybe they could add the go-kart, which I'm not really sure how this would be used, but it would kind of be fun for like some indoor stunt races. You could obviously use the Blood Ring Banger from Vice City and San Andreas. Those cars are pretty cool. They're like fitted with exterior roll cages. It's really nifty. You could also use the Vortex, which is like a half hovercraft, half watercraft, half sort of, car. I'm really not too sure. And then you could do something along the lines of like Evel Knievel's motorcycle. You guys know Evel Knievel. He used to like jump the Grand Canyon and whatnot. It was absolutely crazy. So those are just some of the vehicles I thought of. And I think they could be pretty cool. But once again, who knows? It's up to Rockstar, but I think those are cool suggestions. Now, the good news in all of this is Rockstar did state that there is going to be more information coming out about these DLCs soon, and hopefully they'll include more than a paragraph, which is pretty much all they did as far as the update we got about 2 or 3 days ago. So I am very excited about this. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the comment section down below in regards to the vehicles you think we're going to be getting. Which ones do you think are going to be available? Again, I personally think it's going to be off-road vehicles like the Dune Buggy, like the motorcycle, the Sanchez, all the sports bikes. Obviously, the supercars would make sense, sports cars, but I can't really see any other categories making sense for a stunt racing DLC. We'll have to see though, because you might have some fun with some other style vehicles. But once again, I'd love to hear from you guys there. Let me know what you think. If you did go on to enjoy the video, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.